everything around me. Green, get the money, dollar bill, yo.
What's up, guys? Got another Crowfall video for you today. This time we're going to be discussing the new 5.3 skill changes, the time bank system, and the ever controversial skill tome system. So let's get into it. First of all, the new skill tree system is fantastic. They did a great job with it. It looks pretty slick. I like the direction they're going where the skill tree starts off very, very broad, and as you go down it, you get more and more specific. That is pretty slick, and I like the way they have it laid out. I can't wait to get in game and actually browse around and just see where everything is, because I think they did a pretty good job with the layout of the skill tree. So big thumbs up there. All right, so let's get into the first big change, and that is that VIP has changed pretty significantly. Under the old system, you would have to constantly re-queue your training skills over and over and over again every 4 hours, 8 hours, 72 hours, whatever. That system, if you didn't like that system, good for you, because it's gone. Non-VIP players don't have to worry about having to constantly re-queue their skills. They have scrapped that into something that is much more forgiving for the non-VIP players. Now, as a non-VIP player, you pretty much just have to check in once a day, once every 24 hours, and you're good to go. VIP players can check in once every 30 days, and they're good to go. And there's a time bank system. We'll get into that later, but it's much more forgiving from a skill queuing perspective. So a lot of people are very happy about that. So that's cool. Also, VIP with this training change is still very, very valuable. They have changed what VIP players get over non-VIP players. And it's pretty simple. VIP players can train 2 races, 2 classes, and 2 professions. Non-VIP players can train 1 race, 1 class, 1 profession. Now, I think this is pretty fair for the most part. In terms of power creep for VIP players, there is a little bit. The only thing that I see that is like a flat-out power increase is the 2 professions. VIP players being able to train 2 professions is a pretty big deal over the non-VIP players. Well, not a huge deal. We'll get into that. But that's the only thing where it's like, oh, yeah, you know, those VIP guys, they are getting a little bit more overall power than non-VIP. And the 1 race and the 1 class, I don't think will be that big of a deal at all for non-VIP, because I think a lot of people that aren't going to be rocking the VIP, the more casual players, the people that aren't quite as invested in Crowfall, they're going to be playing their 1 class and their 1 race, and they're not going to be missing out on much. But, you know, being able to be both a combatant and a harvester of some kind, that's a big deal. And only being able to pick one of those as a non-VIP player is, yeah, I mean, it kind of sucks, but VIP needs to have value, because the game will be better if the revenue is coming from a subscription model rather than them constantly having to be behind the 8 ball and make some stupid ass cash shop item. That's how you get ghillie suits and all this other garbage in your games. So I'm all for that. Yes, VIP, you're getting a little power edge right there, but I don't think it's going to crush the non-VIP players, and the non-VIP players I don't think are really gonna care that much. And if you're a hardcore player, you're gonna want to get VIP. That's just the way it is. So not much has really changed in that regard. Under the old system, if you're a hardcore player, you want to get VIP. Under the new system, you're gonna want to get it as well. However, it's a little bit less punishing for the non-VIP player when it comes to skill training. So if anything, the non-VIP players should probably be happy about this. So yeah, one important thing I forgot to mention, VIP is tradable. So you will be able to trade VIP tokens with other players. So it's going to turn into a WoW token scenario, I would imagine, to where if you're a pretty proficient non-VIP player, you're going to be able to pay for your sub via other players. So that's a thing. I forgot to mention that. So that's another important little tidbit there. So before we get into time banks and skill tomes, we need to talk about how the skill tree is laid out and kind of how it works. So the way it works, and I'm going to use the class tree for an example here, is that you start off very, very broad with like something like combat basics. Then that gets a little bit deeper, and you can choose between being a fighter, mage, or rogue. Then that gets even deeper, and let's say you want to pick rogue. You can choose between, I believe it's mercenary and scoundrel. Then if you pick one of those 2 trees, then let's say you pick, I think it's scoundrel, I think it's mercenary. Let's say you pick mercenary, then you go even deeper, and that is where you are specifically speccing into an assassin or a ranger if you pick the mercenary tree. So you start off very, very broad, and you get benefits for all of the potential classes you want to play. Then you narrow it down a little bit more, narrow it down a little bit more, and then finally you are specializing in the thing you want. So that's pretty easy to understand. All right, so let's talk about time banks. Time banks are the new thing that they're implementing, to where if you forget to queue up your skill training, you will start to accrue time in this time bank, to where if you come back later, you can go, all right, I want to spend all that time that I forgot to queue a skill for and put it in here. VIP players get 30 days. Non-VIP players get a 24-hour time bank cap. So, very important detail here. The time banks are specific to each tree, meaning that if you forget to train your scoundrel training, that time bank is going to only be applicable to the scoundrel tree. You cannot time bank scoundrel training for wood chopping. Yeah, it's specific to that tree. So that's a very, very important detail that you need to remember. So time banks, I think for the most part, this is a non-controversial change. Everybody's pretty cool with this. It's way less punishing for non-VIP players, and it's more convenient for VIP players. So that's a fun little thing. Now let's get into the potentially controversial thing, which is the skill tomes. So skill tomes are very, very similar to EVE Online's skill injector system, meaning that you can trade your skill training time with other players. Why the hell would anyone want to sell their skill training? Let me give you an example. Let's say you're a VIP player and you are a Fey Assassin, and you love playing the Fey Assassin. You don't like to play anything else. You don't like to play the other classes. The other races don't appeal to you, and that's all you like to do. You can sell your training to other players. You can sell that time. So you can go, hey, I'm going to sell night training or fighter training or whatever to another player, rather than diversify my account because I only want to play an assassin. So that's an example of why you would want to potentially sell your skill training. So this is a system that has existed in EVE Online. I know it sounds super sketchy, and I'm very hesitant, but it's been in EVE Online for a while, and that game doesn't seem to have blown up or anything due to it. However, I do have some concerns with it, but I think the benefits do outweigh the potential concerns, realistic potential concerns. Another benefit of the tome system is that it's a catch-up mechanic for new players. New players will benefit from tomes far more than veteran players because there's a heavy diminishing return. To give you an example, if you are 50% of the way trained through the assassin tree and you buy skill training from another player and use it, and you're 50% trained, you will only get 50% of the time, and that goes up more and more. So let's say I'm 90% of the way trained through my assassin tree, and I want to get some more skills, so I buy some training from another player. I'm only going to get 10% of that time, so the DR is pretty heavy there. And also, you cannot say, we talked about previously how each time bank was specific to each tree. So let's say I'm a veteran player and I want to train the assassin tree, right? That's at the very, very end of the tree, right? You have to go through the combat basics, you have to go through the rogue, then you have to go into the mercenary tree. So the person that is selling that training time has to have already gone through that tree themselves. So the assassin training that I'm buying as a veteran player is going to have a real premium on it because the person that's selling it has to already be there too. So, yeah, it sounds really sketchy at first, but if nothing changes, it won't be the end of the world. That's kind of my stance on this. If nothing changes about this entire system, it won't be the end of the world. Would I like to see some things change? Yes. And we'll get into that here in a minute. One very important thing to mention about the tome system is that this is not coming at launch. This is going to be coming many months after launch, which is good because we don't know the nitty-gritty details of the system yet. We kind of just know the base idea. And the devil really is in the details on this one. So some specific details I would like to know about. Can you specifically queue for time banking? Meaning, do you have to let a skill naturally lapse before you start accruing the time bank? Do you have to train a skill and then let that skill train all the way up 3 days? And then when you fail to requeue, is that the only way you can get to time bank training? Or can you specifically go, I want to train this time bank now, boom? Because that's got big implications. If you have to train a skill and then let it lapse and then train another skill and then let it lapse to get the time bank training, that heavily nerfs the non-VIP 24-hour tome farming, because they would have to train a full skill like 6 days, and some of these skills take like 18 days to train. So that's a very, very important detail we need to know. Will creating these tomes require an item? Is this going to be a crafting process like that requires something, or is this going to be something where you just go boop boop and just make it and it's no big deal, whatever? These two details in particular have a lot of implications, because one of the potential issues I see with this is the non-VIP 24-hour tome farming accounts. That's all they do. And again, this sounds really sketchy, but I don't think it'll be that big of an issue, because people in my guild have been doing the math, and the amount of accounts people would have to really pull this off to a crazy extent, I don't think people are going to go that hard. Some people will. There will be people that do it. You see it in EVE. There was a guy that spent like 33 grand on getting all the skills with skill injectors or something crazy like that. Yeah, there will be people that do it. There are millionaires and, multimillionaires that just dump money into hobbies because they can, right? But another thing to keep in mind is that the skill training in this game is a minority of your power. This isn't an MMO like World of Warcraft where you get like exponentially more powerful as you get tiers of gear and skills and things like that. That's not like that. It's very much a minor thing. And just based off the math I've seen people in my guild do, if absolutely nothing changes about this system, it's not going to be the end of the world. For the most part, I think this system is pretty cool, and it's going to allow people to sell their skill training they don't care about, allow new players to catch up, and I just think it's kind of a neat thing in general. However, there is one change that would make this system perfect to me, and that would be to limit the amount of skill training you have to the duration that the game has been live. Meaning that if the game has been live for 2 years, you can only have 2 years of class training, 2 years of profession training, and 2 years of race training. And that's it. If you have that, you cannot use skill tomes to get ahead. Meaning that the skill tome system would strictly be used as a respecking / catch-up mechanic versus a get-ahead mechanic. That would make this system perfect. However, with that being said, that is another thing they have to develop, and as I've said previously throughout this video a bunch of times, if nothing changes, it's not going to be the end of the world. People have done the math. For the vast majority of players, they're not going to be able to buy significant amounts of power. Yes, there might be some guy that buys 100 accounts and does something crazy, right? But for the vast majority of people, this is not going to be an issue. But if they capped out the training to the duration that the game's been live, I think that would be, even though that would not have that much gameplay implications, like that's not really something I think that has to happen for pay-to-win reasons. It's almost a PR move, right? I think that would just be very smart for them to do from a PR perspective, because they could just have that line, boom. It's not pay-to-win because you can't get ahead. You just can't. You can get even. The best you can do is get even. The best you can do is catch up if you want to blow a bunch of money. So that's one change I'd like to see them make. However, if nothing changes, I'm still all right with it. So anyway, let me know what you guys think. One thing to keep in mind is that skill training is a minority of your power in this game. It's not like WoW with exponential power growth. It's not like many other games where this guy is going to one-shot you if he's got this thing. It's very, very minimal. So anyway, let me know what you guys think. If you're interested in Crowfall, be sure to sign up with the referral link in the description down below. Hopefully I was able to explain this and kind of give you my opinion on it. For the most part, I really like it. But yeah, there's some changes I'd like to see make. There's some details I'd like to see ironed out, and I'd like to get my hands on it, man. I can't wait for 5.3. So hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you're interested in Crowfall, be sure to sign up with the link in the description down below. You get the beta for free, as well as getting 5% off anything you buy. So be sure to do that. And your boy also gets a little kickback from it. So very excited for Crowfall. Hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you next time. Have a good one.